I'm still in Gili Trawangan, and today I'm feeling a bit flat. I wouldn't say I'm depressed necessarily, but it's pretty close to being depressed, isn't it? Pretty close. I don't know, I just feel, I don't know, it's not my normal semangat self. So today I'm going to try and pick myself up. So Susan and I are going to go from Gili Trawangan using the island hopping boat, it's like a public boat service, to go to Gili Air, because there's a little Italian cafe there that does great coffee and great pastries, all in-house made stuff, in a pretty, it's not a remote area, but it's not like a very popular area. And last time I went there, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And at that time, it really put a massive smile on my face. And when Susan saw that video, she goes, oh, you got to take me there. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm taking Susan there. That's going to make me happy because I know she's going to love it. And if she loves the place that I love, I get happy. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to try and pick up the mood a little bit today. I mean, how can you be flat when you're in paradise? I mean, really, how can you be? But
Morning.
hello. How are we going to explain that? Well, I'm going to try and explain it today because I'm trying to figure it out myself a little bit because it doesn't make logical sense, but it doesn't have to either, does it? Now, I know everyone's different, but one of the things that helps me with mood and so forth, I'm not like a moody person. I don't really get depressed very much, or at all. I don't. Occasionally I'll feel a bit flat. And one of the things for me that keeps my sort of levels quite good is exercise. So when I run, those endorphins running through your body, for me, just really give you just a little bit of a level up. It doesn't make you like, oh, I'm happy today. It doesn't make you do that. That was a bit of a weird voice, wasn't it? Better than my mantap voice. And then, anyway, so getting back to the story, I just think that doing a bit of exercise is good for you, mentally as well as physically. And for me, it needs to be more than just a walk. Some other people are, going to get a lot of benefit from just going out for a walk. But for me, I just need to get my heart rate up a little bit for it to be a little bit more beneficial. I feel quite energized after I have a bit of a run or even a slow jog, or sometimes a hike or a walk up a steep hill. That sort of works really well for me. When I wake up every morning, Susan likes to get onto all the different news sources that she's got access to, wherever they might be. And she starts she'll get onto Facebook and start reading Facebook posts to me. I say, you don't have to read your Facebook to me. But quite often she'll come up with some really interesting stories that she thinks is funny, that she knows I'll think is funny. And the latest one that she told me was about the Jakarta Marathon, which was on recently. And geez, it's an interesting story, and it goes to the heart of Indonesian corruption and ethics. It's a really, really interesting story. So what happened was, someone took a photo or a video of a lady finishing the marathon after 42 kilometers of running, and she crossed the line without even any sweat, and her clothes were really sort of looking good, no sweat on them. She had a sling bag on, and the person filming said, geez, this woman looks really fresh. Like, what's going on here? She doesn't look like she's run a marathon. So that person got the runner's bib number, plugged into the system after the event to see their split times, because you have a timing chip when you go on these races, and what happens, the timing chip is in the bib, and what happens as you go over these checkpoints, it tells you what your split times are at each point. And I think on this particular race it was every 2.5 kilometers or something along those lines, or every 2 kilometers. So they wanted to see how fast they went through each of those checkpoints, and it turns out they did not reach any checkpoints. So they went over the start line, and they went over the finish line, but they didn't go over any checkpoints, meaning they cheated. They didn't actually run anything. And the question is, why would you do it? Why would you do that? Well, I think it's just tell your friends, hey, I've run a marathon, but you didn't really do it. It's an odd thing, isn't it? Cheating and then boasting that you did something. But it goes further than that. What happened was that in the comments, a lot of people were saying that the metro stations had heaps of people with bibs on getting on the metro, because this run was on the metro route. So people were jumping on the metro, skipping large sections and getting back on the running route, and still claiming they ran the whole race. I mean, absolutely outrageous behaviour. And so the online netizens are now trying to shame these people for doing the wrong thing. It's like stolen valour for veterans of wars and so forth. But another thing that's been a huge topic of debate is that if people are doing this just on a run, are these same people corrupting government money and so forth? And that sort of gets to the heart of those questions, doesn't it, about ethics. So we're going on this inter-island boat. Last time I went on it, it was in the wet season. There was only like 5 people on the inter-island boat when I went on it last time. But this time it looks like it's going to be like 50 people. It's pretty packed down here. People are going from island to island. Over there you can see the Lombok mainland. You can see Gili in the near distance, and then over the other side of that is Gili Air. Well, that's another thing. People don't like the way I say Gili Air. The locals like it, but it's funny. Last time I put out a video, someone said, just say it properly. And I said, it is properly. It's air, like the word for water. It's not air as in the word for udara. So yeah, if you're going to say it like in a local accent, you're going to say air. So if I'm speaking to Susan, I'm not going to say Gili Air. I'm going to say Gili Air. It's just the way I say it. But by the same token, if I go to France, I don't call it Paris, I call it Paris. So it doesn't really matter too much. Call it whatever you like. People are going to know, but there's a different way to say it, whether you're speaking English or speaking Indonesian. That's okay, isn't it? So the island hopping boat goes from island to island to island, goes about 3 or 4 times a day on a schedule. Costs 40,000 to go from Gili Trawangan to Gili Air, Gili Meno, and then 45,000 to go from Gili Trawangan to Gili Air. So the islands are in order: Gili Trawangan, Gili Meno, Gili Air. So it just sort of hops between them. Extremely popular today. I'm surprised that it's so popular, because last time I was on it was so quiet. Behind me is actually Gili Meno. So over there is Gili Air, and then behind it is actually Gunung Rinjani. And that's 3,800 metres tall right up there. It doesn't look it, but it's just such a long way away. It looks pretty spectacular in the flesh. It doesn't look as impressive on the screen, I reckon, but just, yeah, I love it. It's just part of the thing about this area is these scenes are just so majestic. This is the sort of boat they use for these island hopping. They're actually pretty big boats. I don't know how many people they can fit on. Probably fit like 50 or 60 people, maybe more on that. And even though it's overcast, you can straight off see how clear that water is there. It's beautiful, beautiful water. Oh, witch's hat. This is the main area of Gili Air. It's actually quite built up, much like Gili Trawangan is down near the harbour. But it has a little bit of a different feel to it. Like it's a little bit slightly more upmarket, I'd say. And the development doesn't go as sort of wide and as far inland and as far along the beach. Like it's quite narrow, that sort of development. Of course, it's spreading. But it's slightly more relaxed. The clientele are slightly different. I mean, it's not hugely different. Well, honestly, it's not hugely different. It's just slightly different. That is really good gelato, Del Monte. I had that before. You gotta watch your back here, like with these horse and cars. At least they've got the bells or whatever. Like it's like Santa's sleigh going down the road, so you hear them before they come. But yeah, you gotta watch your back because they've got these big sticks on the front that sort of jut out, and they're about head height. And I reckon they give you a nasty bump on the scone, I reckon. Look at this, look at the height of those. Well, that'll get me right in the throat. It's funny when Susan's with me when we're making these videos, she's sometimes like tucked over my shoulder. This camera's really wide and it looks like she's a submissive wife just tagging along while I make videos. So she always tries to skirt forward to get outside the video because she doesn't want people commenting about that sort of stuff. What I was going to say is those horses, in the past, there were issues with the condition of the horses and how they were treated and so forth. And some activists got onto the island and started, ripping into the locals about how the horses were treated and that sort of stuff. And it was not received very well, like not received very well at all. People come barging in with their own perceptions on how things are done, and these guys have been doing it for 1,000 years the same way. And but what has happened is over the years, there have been foundations set up and vet care being given to horses and education about nutrition and so forth given to the owners without imposing these Western ideals on people. And it's been done very hand in hand with the locals. And there is a foundation on Gili tea actually that Mark in my previous video was talking about to me, and people are in here trying to help rather than to dictate on how to do things, and it's really important to get that right when you're really concerned about something, I think, and you're going into someone else's home. It's interesting, that flatness I was feeling earlier sort of faded away a little bit now that we've come on this little trip over here to Gili Air. Just change of scenery. I don't know what it is about Gili tea, because I think logically it makes so much sense for a lot of people. Totally underrated by the Australian crowd for sure, because I think many Australians would absolutely love it over there, especially as a replacement for the old Kuta, because it has a lot of that feel about it from the old days with a modern bent on it a little bit. And the beaches are great, and the snorkeling is fantastic, and there's trips you can do from there. It's just a great little spot. But what I was feeling there, I don't know what it is. It's an odd thing, isn't it? Sometimes you gotta try to figure out where we're going here. Oh yeah, I know where I am. It's odd. Sometimes I don't know. Is it Gili tea that's sort of bringing me down a little bit? I'm not sure it is. Not sure it is. Might be the YouTube thing getting to me. I'm not sure if it's the YouTube thing. I mean, there is a hamster wheel aspect to YouTube in a way, because if you get any sort of success on YouTube and people enjoy your videos, there's sort of this drive to go and produce more of them, and you've got to ask yourself, what do you really want to do? Well, I really do love making videos, but I want to do it on my own terms, and sometimes that's not necessarily what people want to watch, and that's sometimes quite there's a bit of friction there, internal friction, where you think, you know what, I want to make a video about this, but no one's going to watch it, so what's the point of making the video? That can happen, The other thing is, there might be some things that people want to watch that I don't want to make a video of. Like, I could easily go out and make videos about, like the taxi mafia in Bali, or the scams and stuff. That would get like millions of views, but I don't want to make a video about that. I think it's quite negative. So, trying to get that balance internally in me is sometimes a bit of a battle too, and it's on my mind quite often about how to handle some of this stuff. So I reckon that's probably playing on my mind a little bit. It was actually because the video I made I think it was on Saturday, the one I put out on Saturday, that one I made, I was making the point that this would be a great retirement destination. And I really do believe that. And I think it could be a retirement mecca for many people, not just Gili tea, but the Gilis in general. And I guess the internal conflict I had was that it's also a very popular place with very young people, and how does that sort of work? So from a logical point of view, it's correct. But the problem I was having is that for me, I don't want to retire here. And that's the other thing that's difficult as well. Sometimes you've got to recommend places that don't do it for you, but do it for other people. And that's sometimes difficult to get right. Like, I don't just recommend the places that I love. I sometimes need to recommend places that other people love or are logically very good, but don't really do it for me on that basis, And that's what it is with the Gili tea, especially. I actually really enjoy it there. I wouldn't retire there, but I know a lot of people would love it. And so that's also some of the friction I'm feeling. It sort of plays on your mood a little bit, doesn't it? This is the scene anyway over here on Gili Air, only about 500 metres from the jetty. So we've been walking straight out here, local houses there, the old wooden style ones, and then a couple of concrete ones in the background. There is a great little coffee shop through the bush there. It's called Gili Coffee Roaster. That's a real good little coffee shop in the middle of the cow paddock there. We're going to the one called Il Barretto, and Il Barretto, it's got to be Italian. Well, I know it's Italian because the dude who owns it's Italian, and the staff are baking daily. It's next to a paddle court, which is a little bit odd. So if you're not into paddle and don't like paddle, just ignore that aspect of it totally, because the cafe itself is unreal. I really want to show you once again what it's like, and because I've got Susan here, it means I can get a few more bits and pieces to eat and try. I'm really excited for it. Gee, I hope it's open and I hope it's good. Nothing worse than getting excited about a place and you go there and it's no good the next time. I'll tell you one thing I'm really loving about being on the Gilis is seeing all the backpackers. There are proper backpackers going around the place on their summer holidays from Europe and probably going on a couple of months sort of trip around the place. And they're doing it old school style, cheaply. And they're going to all the expensive places. They're eating the warung. They've got brand new big backpacks, like 80 litre ones that are bigger than their head. And But I really love that because they're giving it a go and going to some remote areas, going overland, over to Flores and that sort of thing. And seeing those people is really good because they are rarely seen anymore. And I've got a funny feeling it's sort of now concentrating into certain European populations only in the European summer when they've got a big break. That's what it feels like. But you know what? It's great that it's still going on. I'm sort of a little bit sad that many other nationalities don't do it. I don't see so many Brits doing it. I don't see Aussies doing it. I don't know if we're just a little bit weak these days. But the whole backpacking thing was almost like a rite of passage, wasn't it? Even getting into your 20s and 30s, it was a bit of a rite of passage to do something like that. And seeing people not doing that anymore is a little bit sad. I've actually got a nephew who's just turned 18 and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do for the rest of his life. You know, as we all do at that age, he has no idea what he wants to do, and he's sort of, you know, through school you get funneled into university, into something that you don't really want to do, a career. And he's saying to me he wouldn't mind going travelling, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. I'm not sure what his parents think, and if you're watching, sorry, but I reckon it's a great idea to go travelling, you know. And I'd even give him a little bit of money, give him $50. No, I'd help him out a little bit, you know, probably stay at my house a while, get on the road and explore the world while you're still young. On this island, they love those electric bikes as well. I just saw some kids coming past on those electric bikes. They actually go quite fast, and there's an old girl giving a lift to two other girls. The oldest girl would have been 6 max. Those younger girls were like 3 or 4. And she was flying, like absolutely flying, much faster than you could ever get on a bicycle unless you're going downhill. So dangerous, like so dangerous. That's the Indo thing though, isn't it? Always on the bikes early. Okay, here it is, Il Barretto. It's actually not that popular at the moment. I thought it might be packed because I think it's so brilliant, but anyway, I'll show you what they've got. All this homemade stuff here. Oh, look at that thing filled with, Susan's immediately tempted by that. I am too. Big thing filled with cheese, cream cheese or cream. Beautiful tiramisu. And then all these pastries. Beautiful. All right, we've got the sign back in the window now. It's called a maritoso panna. And it looks deadly, but we're going to get one of those because it looks good anyway. All right, so this is the story. I got a coffee and a juice. And then I think they call it, was it lemon? Homemade iced lemon tea. Then we've got a El Fagatino. And then we've got that thing. That is just pure evil. Look at that. All full of, apparently it's mascarpone and whipping cream somehow mixed together. And that's just like, yeah, you know what that's like. You can see that straight off. So I'm going to try my coffee first. Coffee costs $40,000, inclusive of all taxes and fees. And I reckon that's a pretty good deal. Mantap. That is so good. That is a brilliant coffee. That price is probably Sanur price as well. So it's actually pretty cheap compared to a lot of other places that we go around the place. That's really good value, I reckon. Actually, most of the stuff here is pretty good value. I think we spent $260, 3 drinks and 3 items of food, one of them being a big sandwich. All right, I'm gonna try this one first, that big thing with all that cheese, or cream and mascarpone cheese in there. So light. Oh, that's like a donut with the lightest cream you can imagine. All right, we'll do the El Fagatino. This is not crispy, it's more of a soft style one because I think the Italians do it like this. It's quite bready and it's got a sweetness to the outside. Oh, well, we'll try this iced lemon tea. Oh my God. Oh, that is so good. It's not really sweet at all. It's got a bit of tartness to it and that tea tannin type thing going on. Beautiful, so refreshing. The next item we're cracking onto here is I think it's a prosciutto sandwich. That is a hot bun. They bake it themselves. Everything's baked here. Look at that. A pile of proper prosciutto. That is real imported Parma ham. And it just looks, all right, it looks so good. I'm gonna have to get a bit off there. If you love prosciutto, You love a big pile of it on a sandwich like that. I'm going to give it a go. God, I'm excited. I love this place. Oh. Crusty bread. I love this place. I'm so excited. I want to see Susan's reaction when she has it. There we go. She's got tiny teeth though. How is that? Good, isn't it? Bueno, muy bueno. That's Spanish, but okay, we'll give that a pass mark. I just want to make a comment on how generous this place is with things like the prosciutto. Like, they don't just put a couple of slivers on there because it is expensive here. It's imported meat and that sort of stuff's expensive here in Indonesia. They pile it on there and they're only charging 65,000 for that thing. I think that is just phenomenal. The generosity, I just love it. I love this place. I think it's one of my favourite places around, anywhere. I don't know why, it's a bit weird, but I just love it. And I think a lot of other people are going to love it too. So the schedule apparently is 11:30 for the boat back to Gili T. And well, we were pretty much enjoying ourselves at that cafe, and we've left ourselves really with not much time to get back to that port. And if we walk at normal pace, we won't make the boat. So we're legging it now. And I say we, but it's really me because I've got longer legs, so I can walk faster than Susan. And she's stuck behind a little bit. And but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. And if I have to, I'll piggyback her and we'll run down there and get that boat. That's the story. I mean, we might still miss it. The good thing is there are these speed boats that go between the islands as well. And apparently they're 85,000. I'm not really familiar with them, but that's always our backup as well, which is still pretty cheap, isn't it? It's actually not just one island, the whole island's as a threesome. Hang on, that's not really right, is it? The three of the islands together actually are just such a wonderful combination because you can nick between them all. Here we go, look, this dude goes flying. You can nick between them quite easily, and if you sort of get sick of one island, you can go to another one, or you can spend different nights at different places. I mean, I prefer to be fairly stationary. I don't really want to move around too much, but it's so easy to get around to the other islands and enjoy those as well that, yeah, a day trip, if you're staying on Gili T or if you're staying on Gili Air to Gili Menor, there's nothing, it's easy as. And because these islands are pretty small, you can walk around them pretty easily. And if you don't like walking, you can get a bicycle. And in the worst case scenario, go and get a horse and cart and they'll charge you $10 to go not too far, or $15 to go, to the other side of the island or something like that. One of the things I notice most people doing here, if people are bringing suitcases, they'll generally get a horse and cart to take them to their accommodation because wheeling your suitcases along these sorts of roads is a bit of a pain. You'll always get a rock in there or get jammed up with sand, or you might find yourself down a dirt road where you can't roll your suitcase. So the horse and cart is the way to go for sure, getting from the boat to your accommodation if you've got a suitcase. Better still, it's best to come without a suitcase, but I know that some people don't travel with backpacks. So if you're traveling with a backpacker, you can usually walk to most places. If it's a little bit further than you'd like to walk, well, you can also get a horse and cart. It's actually really brilliant. I really wish more people would come here. I mean, they are fairly popular, but nowhere near as popular as Bali. Well, nowhere near. The good thing about this island as well, and it is the same on Gili T as well, but this is slightly more rural, is it has this sort of kampung feel about it. You can imagine this island 30 years ago looking a little bit like this all over the place, That's the local public school, SDN 1 Gili Indah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, so Gili Indah is the name of the three islands. Indah is beautiful, but when talking about a view, yeah, something is Indah. And that's what the name of the islands are, the beautiful looking islands. Yeah, so this whole kampung feel is something I really love. You get it even a little bit more on Gili Menor, but the thing is with Gili Menor, it's not as populated either. So it has a rural feel, but just not as many buildings. So the kampung feel, the village feel, is not as compressed. Yeah. But it's just really nice. I just love these islands. They're really amazing. Great holiday destination for sure. For sure. Nusa Lembongan is another one. Completely different vibe though there. Lembongan is completely different. And I love it for other reasons as well. So the boat leaves at 11:30. It's now 11:20 and you're supposed to be there 10 minutes before. We don't have a ticket, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. There's actually still a question as to whether we're actually going to get to the port before the boat departs. That's the story. I mean, we're still in this main street here with all the bars and restaurants. Well, they've got like sports on the TV there as well, which is pretty popular now that the World Cup's on. Okay, we made it to the port with about 5 minutes to spare and Susan's charging towards the desk. Hopefully there's no line up. There's a huge crowd here, so I reckon the boat hasn't even boarded yet. So let's see. Susan's puffed out. But she's fit, so it's not a big deal. There's an air of panic from other passengers in the port at the moment. I think people are boarding something over there. Not sure what that is. Don't know if it's the one that we want. It might be though. So I can understand the panic of this cab. Really black. It's just on screen. It just looks like a shadow. All right. Okay. Apparently they're boarding already, so that's why there was a bit of panic over there. So get on this boat and get back to Gili T. I'll show you the view though. I think the views from these Gilis are so phenomenal because they're just off the coast of Lombok, really close. You get these views of the mountains over there. I always think, oh, I'd love to go sort of maybe 500 or a kilometre up those mountains and build a house with a view over the ocean. That'd be brilliant. But when you look at it, over there, it's just jungle. Yeah, up in those mountains, it's just jungle. I reckon there'd either be no roads or it'd only be like a little goat track up there. But yeah, I'd love to live up there, especially if it was accessible. All right, I think we're the last ones. We're one of those people who's like holding up the boat, are we? I know, we've still got like 4 minutes before it departs. There he is there. Kalian asli dari mana? Dari mana? Gili Meno. Mau pulang ya? I'm sitting up here on the front of the boat. I sort of like to do the old school style way of doing things. You know, get out in the sun and I don't know, it's just something nice about the way that we used to travel, sort of out in the open like this. And I mean, it's okay down the back as well. I was just talking to one of the crew up here and he's making jokes and I find myself laughing and smiling. And as I just sort of paused for a moment, I just thought, you know what? I feel pretty good. And it's the thing that I'm really putting my finger on now is that the reason I was probably feeling flat a couple of videos ago is that I actually didn't interact with many locals. I can't even remember interacting with any locals. Hardly any at all. And I think that takes something away from your experience here is that when you interact with locals, it makes your day just so phenomenal. And I am feeling absolutely electric now after having a real good chin wag and laugh with the crew over here about just stupid stuff, but it makes you feel good. I think that's the moral of the story, isn't it? If you're feeling a little bit flat, go and have a chat with some locals and have a bit of a laugh and make it a habit when you're here to really interact with the locals, because that's what makes us love Indonesia and love the Indonesian people, because they're just such friendly people, always trying to help you out and having a bit of a joke with you. That's why I love it here. Don't feel flat anymore. Hey, I can see Bali in the distance over there, and the next video I make is probably going to be from Bali. I don't know yet. I'm not sure exactly when we're going back. We haven't booked a ticket, but I reckon it might be the next video is over in Bali. Gunung Agung, just poking up above the clouds there. Thanks for coming along for the ride here today over in the Gilis. Once again, beautiful part of the world and just so close to Bali. Get across here if you can. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sonora and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time. Sampai jumpa.